Coming at you one last time in 2024, it's time for a New Year's edition of the Chant Pod. Hey, Teal Nation, I'm Sam Wiederhaft, and we're not only closing out what's been a transformative year in Chanticleer athletics, but we're also turning the page and looking forward to the future and what 2025 will bring. There's no better way to do that than talking to today's guest, new head Coastal baseball coach Kevin Schnall. The passing of the torch has occurred over at Springsbrook Stadium after legendary head coach Gary Gilmore retired following last season. Now it's Schnall's team, and their season starts in about a month and a half. Me and Coach talked about the transition, what he's been focusing on in the offseason, and of course, we talked about the top catcher in the country, who happens to be a Chant, Caden Bodine. So let's close out 2024 by talking about the 2025 baseball season with Kevin Schnall. We're continuing our head coach round of our interviews on the Chant Pod presented by Revolution Mortgage, and we've stopped by the Omaha room here at the Palace and talking with new Chanticleer baseball head coach Kevin Schnall. Coach, appreciate the time, and I mean, it's the holiday season, but this is great weather out here.
Oh, it's unbelievable. We've been fortunate. I actually dipped a little bit last week, but we had unbelievable weather this past weekend, our last camp of 2024, so we had some potential future Coastal All-Americans here this weekend, and just wrapping up a couple things this week and headed into the holidays.
Yeah, take me through what the off seasons looked like so far. I was out at the fall scrimmage back in October when we played Charleston Southern, but just how's the off season progressed now that we're just getting closer to springtime?
Well, really, I mean, it's gone by very quickly, believe it or not. It's amazing to think we're in the middle of December already. But there's a lot that went on. Obviously, we've had to replace a Hall of Fame head coach. We've had to hire 4 new staff members. With this current team, we had to replace 3 of our top 4 hitters from last year. Brought in 18 players, 10 freshmen, 6 transfers, 2 junior college kids. So there's definitely been some, a little bit of a transition period, if you will, and we've had to make some, small adjustments. But where we're at right now, we're really happy with what those adjustments look like.
Let's talk about that transition period because it was, Gilly retires at the end of the year. You step right in at the end. What were some of the first orders of business that you wanted to take care of when you took over that head coaching job?
Well, the most important thing is your staff. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, and we're very lucky. We've got an athletic administration and university that supports baseball at the extreme highest level, which allowed us to assemble an elite coaching staff. And I say with immense humility, but yet confidence, we have a coaching staff that, in my opinion, would rival any coaching staff in the entire country. So we're really excited about, how that all came together.
Yeah, let's talk about your crew because you brought in some guys that had been here before. Chad Oxendine as the associate head coach, Mickey Beach as the director of baseball operations. Then you pick Matt Williams from South Carolina for the pitching coach responsibilities. What were some of the things you were looking for when you wanted to fill out this staff?
Well, bringing Ox and Mickey back were, in my opinion, very easy decisions. They know the Coastal way as well as anybody. The difference, though, is they're in different roles. So they're, working through the new processes and their new roles, but doing a great job. Obviously, retaining Coach Schilling, who's going to oversee our hitters and our infielders. Again, another guy that knows the Coastal way as well as anybody. And then we had to hire Matt Williams, as you said, and we got lucky. I mean, he's a South Carolinian. He knows the state extremely well. He's had experience in the state of North Carolina, in the state of Virginia, in the state of South Carolina. He's nationally known as one of the best pitching coaches in the entire country. He's somebody that we vetted a couple years ago when our pitching job was open. It just didn't work out at that time, but we're really happy that it worked out this time. He's been a natural fit, and I think our fan base is going to see a difference in our staff, immediately. He's made an immediate impact with our pitching staff, with our coaching staff. We've also hired Tyler Shoemaker as our director of player development and recruiting. Again, a young, bright guy with a lot of energy, very organized, very detailed. We're really happy with him. And then Matt Pepin has been with us for the last 4 years, but we were able to hire him full-time as our director of analytics. So he works hand in hand with our entire staff. He works with probably Coach Williams the most, but he brings a skill set that not a lot of people have. He's a really sharp guy, and we're fortunate to have him on board full time.
Let me touch on that analytical side for a second, because I want to know what the differences are between the analytics that you're looking at the college level and the analytics that maybe professional level coaches pay more attention to?
I don't think it does different. I think it's a lot of the same stuff. We're trying to get as many competitive advantages as we possibly can. Now, again, we're using it as support, but not using it as every single thing that we do. But Matt brings it to our attention. He can explain it to us and our players in a very simple way, and then we want to make it as useful as we possibly can.
You know this university back to front. You played here. You served as an assistant coach, came back as an associate head coach. Just how comfortable now are you in this new role as the head coach and the leader of this program?
Well, I think it all goes back to Gary Gilmore. I spent 23 of the past 27s with Gilly. I've had an opportunity to be in the same dugout with him for 23 years, 2 as a player, 21 as a coach. So I'm very comfortable in this role because of him. He's always given his staff, but me in particular, he's given me a lot of autonomy, which has put me in the position that I am now, where I feel like I'm going to be more successful as a head coach because of what he taught me. I feel like I'll be indebted to him forever.
What's the relationship with you guys now that he's retired?
It's great. He's I appreciate what he's done. It almost feels like we invite him out a lot, but it almost feels like he's kind of reluctant to come out and come around, but we do invite him out, and I do want him to know, and everybody to know that we want him around. We want him to come out. We want him to be as visible as possible. But I think this first fall, he's kind of intentionally stepped away just to let some things unfold.
Yeah, take some time himself as well. What are some things that you've had to change yourself as far as being a head coach now, and maybe some things that you've had to look at and maybe had to change as far as your coaching philosophies for now stepping into this new role?
Well, I'm embarking on my 25th year as a college baseball coach, 24 as an assistant. So this is my first year as a head coach. So I've had to, the processes are the same. It's just, your day-to-day is a little bit different. I've delegated more, again, going back to what Gilly did. He empowered me as a coach, and that's what I want to do with the assistants, because I know how powerful that was for me in my development as an assistant coach. But, for me as an assistant, my focus, and my dad taught me this, was always concentrate on just developing your craft and not so focused on elevating your title. And I waited it out, and 24 years later, here I am. I'm a head coach, but like I said, I'm more confident now. I feel I'm more prepared now because of all those experiences.
Well, we are super excited, and I know Teal Nation is really excited to have you now in this role as the head coach. But let's walk through this team and what we're going to be expecting in 2025. And the main highlight is Caden Bodine, the switch-hitting catcher that's projected first-round pick next year after his 3rd year here at Coastal. Just kind of talk me through how he's progressed now in this offseason.
Well, first it's been an absolute joy to be in the same dugout with Bo for the last 2 years, and it's a little disheartening to think there's only one more year of it, because he is the ultimate pro. He's extremely focused, he's determined, and to watch him grow in the last 2-3 years has been unbelievable. Committed to us as a sophomore in high school, to watch him grow from there to where he is now. He is the premier catcher in the entire country. We feel like we've always had really good catchers. He's a step above all of them, and that's a very high compliment. So we're expecting big things out of him. We're expecting him to take another step forward this spring in all areas, leading our pitching staff and being the guy. And he's handled it so well so far, this early fall.
We had him on the Chant Pod back in September, and Caden's a pretty laid-back, chill guy. Why do you think that his personality, fits his skill set so well?
Humble, but extremely confident, and that's what you appreciate about him. I call him a no-chrome guy. And it's Sam Ananachi was very similar. In today's world, they're less look at me, more let's win. And those guys aren't easy to find anymore. But again, very humble, but extremely confident, and an awesome team guy that makes your team better, makes people around him better.
What have been some of the points of emphasis with Bo as far as this offseason and just kind of refining those incredible skills that he already has?
Like I said, I think the biggest step for Bo this year is to continue to evolve as a guy that can lead the entire pitching staff. And he's done a great job. There's a lot of new faces on the pitching staff this year. We've had to replace some guys from last year, but it's a pitching staff that we're very confident in. It's a pitching staff that, right now in December, on paper and what we see, could be the deepest, best pitching staff we ever had, and we need him to lead them to be one of the best pitching staffs we ever had.
A guy that I really enjoyed watching last year was Blake Barthol, and him moving over to that second base spot, and the power numbers really just increasing last year from 7 home runs his first year to 15 last year. What are you looking for out of Blake now in this season?
Truth be told, it's just more consistency. He was tremendous defensively. He's one of the best second basemen in the entire country. The first half of the year, he was one of the best players in the entire country. The second half of the year, he had some ups and downs. We need him to put together a complete year this year.
And those other guys on the returning side of things, the Dean Mijoses, the Jake Books, who are some guys that have, just made bigger steps here in the offseason and are looking to make more of an impact?
Well, we definitely need to have some guys that are going to be able to surround Bodine. For Bodine to be the kind of player that we think that he's capable of being, you got to have the right pieces surrounding him. Who is that? It's still too early to be determined. But Dean Mijos has gotten stronger. He has put on some weight. He's stronger. He's more physical than he was a year ago. He's doing some things differently this year than he was last year at this time. We can see him potentially emerge as a guy for us this year. And then Jake Books. Jake Books is a big, strong left-handed hitter that has the capability and has the tools to hit third or fourth in the lineup. Again, he's got to be a little bit more consistent.
Teal Nation loves to fall in love with the guys that they get here and they're not here for a long time. I'm thinking about Peyton Eales a couple years ago, Sam Antonacci and what he did last year. Who are some guys that you have in this group that maybe have that potential to step up, coming from a different school?
Just off the top of my head, there's a lot of guys, a lot of great character guys, but just off the top of my head, Freddie Rodriguez is a transfer from Barry University. Blagan Pato is a transfer from Longwood. Both of those two guys have the skill set to be as talented as anybody on our team. They run, they throw, they hit for some power, but they just never done it at this level. But I think those two guys could be two guys that could be potentially in the line. I don't want to ever say in the line of a Peyton Eales or Sam Antonacci, because those are the two best to maybe, arguably ever do it here at Coastal, especially from an offensive standpoint, on-base percentage standpoint. Those guys could score runs. And we need one or both those guys to be run scorers for us this spring.
Let's walk through the pitching side because, last year, injuries had a lot to deal with the performance on the field during that season. But kind of walk me through how this pitching staff is going to look different, but also the same with a good amount of returning guys as well.
We lost our two left-hand pitchers who led our team in our appearances last year, and they're going to be two holes that we need to fill. But I feel like people sleep on Eichhoff, and Eichhoff is a guy that's somebody that we can count on. Eichhoff is going to be clearly in the mix in one of those major roles on the weekend. Exactly what spot right now, it's too early to tell, but he's really matured in a lot of ways. He's taken on a great leadership role. I think he's bonded extremely well with Coach Williams. And then, Cam Fluke's coming off of a solid freshman year, but we expect him to make that next step forward. He's got elite stuff, and he's got a chance to be a shutdown Friday night starter. Will he emerge as that? That's still to be determined. And we've got a couple transfers that are moving in the right directions too. So, that weekend rotation is completely up for grabs right now. But there's, 4 to 6 guys that are really in that conversation right now, which is exciting.
You look at the non-conference schedule and a lot of premier matchups to get excited for. Kansas State in that very first weekend. You're going to Jacksonville and taking part in the Jacksonville College Baseball Classic with teams like Alabama, Ohio State, NC State. And then, of course, you got the home and homes, Clemson and Wake Forest as well. What kind of opportunity do you think this non-conference schedule presents for your team to play some of these high-caliber clubs?
We've always prided ourselves on playing an extremely competitive out-of-conference schedule, extremely competitive schedule, and I think we backed that up. In the last 3 years, we've had one of the top 2 out-of-conference schedules in the entire country. This schedule mirrors that. I mean, we've got 6 games against ACC opponents, 5 versus Big Ten opponents. We've got a 3-game series versus East Carolina. We've got an SEC game. We've got a Big 12 game. We play 4 opponents that were nationally ranked, our national ranked last year in the NCAA regionals. So it's going to be extremely competitive. But again, that's something that we pride ourselves on. If we're going to be and continue to sustain a top 25, one of the best programs in the entire country, we've got to play a schedule that will put us in position to win when it really matters. That's late in the year.
You know, talking here at home at the Palace and talking with other head coaches around Coastal Athletics, everybody's mentioned the Chance Miller effect, the new athletic director that stepped in and made new improvements to the game day experience. Football, we saw a lot of things different. Basketball, we're seeing increased fan support. Just how excited are you to see, the fans back at the Palace, but just possibly a different experience there?
Well, to start off with Chance, I mean, energy, innovative, intelligent, excited about, the thumbprint he's going to leave on the whole athletic department and what he's bringing to the athletic department already. But, you talk about the Palace and packing the Palace. Last year we averaged just under 3,000 fans a game. We were just outside of the top 25 in attendance. And the challenge this year is how do we cultivate Teal Nation to get into Springbrook Stadium and pack our stadium and get us into the top 25 this year. I mean, the goal this year, in my opinion, is to average over 3,500. And I vividly remember last year, it's the first week in March, and we got Wake Forest coming in here. And Wake Forest just got knocked out of they were the number 1 team in the country through the first 4 weeks of the season. And I think they just lost the game. They were bumped down a couple spots, but arguably the most talented team in the entire country. Well, we packed the Palace. There's 5,100 people here, and we're up 12-0 in the first 4 innings. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we played well, but the environment that Teal Nation created and our fans created helped us win that game. And the more we can have that, I think it really gives us an unbelievable home field advantage.
I was on the call for that game, that Wake Forest game, and top 5 all-time memory of my life. I mean, it was incredible how loud it was. Blake Barthol's home run early in that game and how the crowd just popped right after that. But every single time I'm here, whether I'm on the broadcast or I'm just enjoying a game, I'm always in a good mood. I mean, this place it's got something to it. Talk me through what makes the Palace so special.
There's a vibe. There's a vibe to it. I think what's so cool about it is the boardwalk. It's still got a college feel to it. It's not overwhelmingly big where it feels like it's got a pro vibe. Very family oriented with the berms and kids running around. Again, I think it's one of the best college venues in the entire country. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but we've been to a lot of places, and it's tough to beat Springbrook Stadium. Yeah. Especially when you have a great crowd out there.
Yeah, we can't wait to February and get fans back here at the Palace. You talked about earlier just having to change some daily things now as the head coach. Kind of talk me through what your daily routine's been like.
Well, I try to get up in the morning and work out. Sometimes that's a battle, but that's my number 1 goal, personal
And I've heard
health.
That's pretty early too, right?
Well, there's no doubt about it. My big thing is all about self-discipline. And when that alarm goes off, it's you versus the snooze button.
Yeah,
and
it's a tough battle.
I'm not going to let that snooze ever beat me. But, again, I think personal health is important, something that, I'm trying to make a change on and be much more conscious of that. So I try to get a good workout in the morning to kind of get things going. We've been meeting a lot as a staff, and it's been nice just to be around each other and collaborate. But what's the change? The change is for 24 years, I was responsible for essentially the same things. Well, now, again, I've hired an elite coaching staff, and they've taken a lot off my plate. And my focus is on a lot of different things now. I mean, let's call it what it is, but raising money is critical. And we've been very, very lucky since June there's been a lot of momentum, a lot of positive momentum, and we've been able to, target some really special people that have stepped up in a big way to give back.
Coach, we're in the middle of holiday season right now as we wwrap up the year of 2024. What are some of your favorite holiday traditions that you do with the Schnall family?
Well, it starts in Thanksgiving, right? I love Thanksgiving because there's no ups and downs. You know, there's no gifts. I mean, I love giving gifts, but you always think, did I give enough, right? Did we get the right gifts?
There's no stress over it.
There's no stress in Thanksgiving. So, you know, Thanksgiving is just a time to be thankful, and I'm really big going around the table and having everybody express what they're thankful for. Our team always sends a picture of their meal. I like to see what other people eat for Thanksgiving. My go-to is just, I like to put it all on one plate and mix it up and eat it all. But being down south, now we fry our turkeys, so that's pretty cool. But come Christmas time, again, it comes back to just family, you know, and spending time with our family. My wife is the head coach of the family, so like she kind of organizes everything. But we have a nice family dinner on Christmas Eve, and then we do a really big Italian family dinner on Christmas Day. And again, it's all about just family, fellowship, and food.
Yeah.
And we eat enough.
Coach, I think there'd be no better gift than another one of these bad boys right
There's
here.
no question.
So what are some things that make you confident heading into 2025 that Coastal can get back to that level?
Well, the bottom line is we got to just play much more consistent baseball, and it starts on the pitcher's mound, and I feel like we're in the right direction on the pitcher's mound. We've got to be much more consistent on the pitching mound to be a team that could legitimately go back to Omaha. You know, we like where our depth is on the pitching mound. We feel like we have some elite arms that could emerge to be legit stop type guys. And then offensively, we got to just continue to play coastal baseball. We've got to do the little things. We've got to be able to create that offense that can beat you in multiple ways, which we did in 2016. You know, we could hit home runs, we could steal bases, and we could play the inside game. We've got to be able to continue to do that. Then obviously you got to control the baseball. You got to control the baseball. We got the premier catcher in the entire country, which is a great start. But if we can just play complementary baseball and do all the little things well, I think we're in a really good position, but it's still too early to start talking about national championship.
Well, Coach, I'll end it with this one, but like I said, we're turning into 2025 pretty soon here, and my excitement level is building. I want to know what your excitement level is for February and getting started again.
You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm really trying to just embrace these next 2 weeks in December and Christmas, the holiday, the New Year's. And then I can assure you, when January 1, January 2 rolls around and we're back in the facility and everybody's coming and the buzz, my mindset will change. But I'm really trying to slow this thing down so I can really just, be forward thinking and be present with my family and not so forward thinking.
Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the holidays, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you real soon here as the calendar flips.
Great. Thanks so much.
Chanticleer baseball really is right around the corner. Thank you to Coach Schnall for getting us fired up for the season that starts on Valentine's Day. It's the Baseball at the Beach opening weekend where Coastal starts off with St. Joseph's in the season opener, then plays Kansas State and Washington to kick off the 2025 season and a new era at Springsbrook Stadium. On the court, conference play has begun for both basketball teams as we start off with the women. Truly a heroic performance in their first Sunbelt game as the Chants moved to 10-1, a 63-61 win over ULM on Sunday. They trailed by as many as 10 in the fourth quarter, but rallied back off a pair of threes by Kristen Williams, and the sophomore Delana Carter drained a three to put Coastal on top with a little over a minute left. They would close it out from there. Coastal now takes a 4-game road trip that'll start with Troy coming up on Thursday at 7 and South Alabama on Saturday at 3. Both games will be on ESPN+. Men's basketball dropped their conference opener to Arkansas State before the holidays, but got back with a comfortable 75-53 victory over Warner on Sunday. Colin Granger broke through for 20 points, and Rasheed Jones added 17 more as the Chants moved to 7-6. And by the way, that we win, you win guarantee, where if the Chants win 35 games, you get refunded on your season tickets. Well, we're at 17 right now between the men and the women, so that goal is very much in reach. The men stay at home this week with a game against Louisiana on Thursday at 7 and ULM on Saturday at 2, both from the HTC Center. And that will complete our final episode of the year. Would like to thank Coach Schnall once again for giving us a preview of his group. It won't be long before we're all back at the Palace having a heck of a time watching the Chants win. Have a safe New Year, Teal Nation. I'm Sam Wiederhaft. I'll see you next year. Chants up.